This is dailyfantasylobby.com. Hey, what's up everyone? Christy Keenan here for dailyfantasylobby.com. Thanks for joining me. Now, I've got a very special guest today, a gentleman by the name of Alex Haywood. Alex binked the £10,000 up top prize in the MondoGoal end of season 30k extravaganza. Now this was, if you're not familiar with it, a really big event, probably the first major five-figure event we have had in daily fantasy soccer over here in Europe. It was a big deal. MondoGoal made a real concerted push at it. It got decent numbers, 170 runners. Alex came out on top. It's an absolute pleasure to be afforded the chance to chat with him, so I'm going to dive into the interview. Hi Alex, how are you?
Hi Christy, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I am all good. So, first things first, you are the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that took down 10k in the MondoGoal 30k guarantee tournament. I say 10k, that's £10,000, which I guess is about, what, $16,000, something like that?
Yeah, it's not bad at this exchange rate, yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty sweet day in anyone's book. So Alex, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us your Daily Fantasy Sports backstory.
Okay, yeah, I've been playing Daily Fantasy Sports for about the past 6 months or so. Seriously, back in December, I started on MondoGoal. And I just built my bankroll up from the free rolls on various websites, and gradually got to a point where I could start playing some of the high GBPs, and just build it up from there, really.
Fantastic. And of course, you did bink the MondoGoal 30k guarantee. Does that go straight back into the bankroll, or does that go into the life roll?
A lot of it will go into the life roll. I've got a mortgage to pay, so a lot of it will go into that. But I'm sure a small part of it will go back into the bankroll to allow me to play some more GPPs.
Good man. And we were just talking a little bit off camera. Alex is, like myself, a bit of a poker nut, and I wonder if any of that will eke its way into maybe some live poker tournaments down your neck of the woods.
Of course. I love a bit of PLO.
Oh man, who doesn't? Casino PLO has to be the softest format imaginable, but
exactly.
It's also the format most prone to gobbling up your nice bankroll.
That's very true.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the big event. Talk us through your selection strategy for the big MondoGoal event and your research process exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot different compared to my normal strategy for normal contests.
Okay.
I had one entry into this tournament, and other people had a lot more entries, 8 to 10, I guess. So I had to take a lot of risk, go all or nothing.
Yeah.
So the structure was very top heavy. I think the top 30 got paid out of 170, and the top 5 got the majority of the cash there. So I really needed to focus my strategy on key players, and I didn't diversify much, which I normally try to do in some of my teams.
Okay.
For the attackers, I went for a lot of Arsenal players and Man City players. They had some good games that day, and that Arsenal players are always going to get you points with passing and shooting and so on. But the key for me, and the thing that pushed me over the line, was the Newcastle defence. Now, yeah, you laugh, but I mean, John Carver's not amazing, but I can imagine he's good at one thing, and that's really putting the Newcastle players, on the edge.
Yeah.
And with one game to go, he's really got to shout at them and get them going.
Well, on the edges, right? Because they were going into this, just in case the audience isn't aware. So this event took place for the final game of the English Premier League season. So Newcastle were facing relegation. They had to beat, remind me who it was, West Ham? Yeah, West Ham. And they did so 2-0. And they hadn't they hadn't kept a clean sheet in goodness knows how long beforehand. And you somehow called it.
Yeah, so I mean, their prices were very, very low. I mean, I think Krul was 3.5, the cheapest, one of the cheapest goalkeepers in the league, because mainly they hadn't kept a clean sheet for the past 5 or so games. So they were very undervalued, and I saw it as a good game to go with them.
And it kind of fits into your go big or go home strategy. If they could keep a clean sheet, you hoover up so many points.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I think I had 3 Newcastle defenders, two Newcastle defenders and Krul, the goalkeeper, and an Aston Villa defender as well. So that really pushed me over the line, that did, yeah.
Fantastic. If I remember rightly, you had Paul Dummett in there, is that right? The Newcastle fullback? That's
very true, yeah. Paul Dummett, I've got a lot to thank for him, yeah.
Amazing. There's a guy who works in the office with David and myself, who's a St Mirren fan. Paul Dummett is a bit of a St Mirren legend after his 1 year there, and they won the League Cup.
Oh,
and so, you'll be making his heart swell with pride right now talking about this.
Brilliant.
Okay, so, and then, if I remember rightly, you had Theo Walcott up top, who grabbed a hat-trick. Talk about the planets aligning for you.
Yeah, so that was a last-minute decision. Obviously, he hadn't had I think he played the previous game, but before that, he was on the bench for a lot of games.
Yeah.
I had Giroud in there originally, but as soon as I saw he wasn't playing and Walcott was starting up front, it was just a no-brainer to include him.
So it was a last-minute switch. It was like a 2 p.m. switch.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as the lineups were announced, saw that he was playing and just stuck him in.
And just in a more general sense, we're talking about your research process and your selection strategy. Is that, how fundamental to your selection process is checking the lineups, being sure that your guys are actually playing?
Yeah, I mean, in any normal contest, the lineup predictions is key, because usually on a weekend you've got one early game and the rest of the games are later in the day, so you can't actually see the lineups an hour before the game starts. So usually it's a lot more crucial to get those predictions correct. But on this day, because all the games were on one set time, it was a lot easier just to wait until 2 o'clock and then finally decide on your players at that time.
Fantastic. So just broadening the topic a little bit. Are you strictly a soccer guy, or do you compete on other sites, on other sports, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, with regards to daily fantasy, definitely a soccer guy at the moment, mainly because the UK doesn't have an awful lot of DFS sites that cover different sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if there was other sports available, for sure I'd be involved in that. But for now, it's just soccer at the moment.
It's kind of frustrating that I would imagine from your point of view. You've got this nice role now, but over here in the UK, we're really hamstrung by a shortage of sites, a shortage of options.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's not great at the moment, but there's plenty of potential there. There's definitely a lot of space for new competitors to come in, and I'm sure they will in the near future, definitely with new sports and different websites, definitely.
One would certainly hope so. I am always kind of surprised that DFS hasn't really taken over here. It's obviously it's a lot more popular than it once was, but when you've got, for example, I'm going to butcher this URL, so bear with me, like fantasypremierleague.com, I think it is, that like the season-long fantasy soccer events, they're unbelievably popular, incredibly popular, but the daily format just hasn't quite landed. What do you make of that? What was it, first of all, a question in 2 parts, what was it about that format that appealed to you, and do you envisage DFS really starting to gather some speed over here?
Yeah, I think the main reason why DFF or DFS isn't taking off here is mainly because of the popularity of Fantasy Premier League. It's such a great game, and I think 4 million or millions of people are playing that game.
Yeah.
And it's just an easy concept as well. One transfer a week. There's not an awful lot to do during the season other than that transfer a week. So it's quite easy to appeal to the amateur DFS player as well,
sure,
or the amateur fantasy player. I think that's the main reason why it hasn't taken off in the UK. But I think there are plenty of people, a good percentage of those millions of people do want more from their fantasy game. And I'm sure we should see, DFS starting to take off over the next year. I've put a note in my diary to say that the Euro 2016 will be the key tournament for DFS.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
You called it, and with your magic crystal ball working as it does. I wouldn't mind taking that bet. It does, just staying on the industry topic, it does really interest me because, okay, so in the States, I mean, we know just how engaging DFS is, how many number crunchers there are out there that have almost taken the quantitative approach and are really going through the numbers, really going through quite an arduous selection strategy, and that's kind of borne out even on our on our anecdotal level with dailyfantasylobby.com, which is reaching far more people in the States than it does over here, despite hearing Scottish accents and and I'm just really interested by it. And given that you're a guy who likes to play some online poker, wouldn't you think that the sort of the stats heavy format would be appealing over here?
I think so. I mean, MondoGoal specifically, they have a lot of they have a detailed point scoring system, depending on what players do,
sure,
and that involves a lot more stats. Fantasy Premier League, the season long version, is mainly around goals and clean sheets. So it's difficult to say why it hasn't taken off, but I think there are plenty of people that are interested in stats and fantasy football, and that combined for me is just something that you don't want to miss out on.
Absolutely, and I guess so much of it will simply be down to reach. We can't watch anything over here in the UK without seeing half a dozen online betting adverts on the telly, but of course daily fantasy sports just isn't in the common vernacular, really. It's still marginalized. Hopefully that will change. And on a personal level, Alex, what's next for you with regards to DFS?
I mean, I'll continue grinding the smaller cash games, the GPPs on other weekends, building the bankroll, and just enjoy myself as well. It's not all about making the money. It's just I enjoy playing fantasy football, and that's what I like to do at the weekends. So yeah,
fantastic. And might I say, long may you keep up that approach, because the minute that people go chasing the big wins, they go chasing the money and having their enjoyment wrapped up in the results that they get, in the returns that they get on that, is the minute that it becomes a real grind, a real hassle.
Exactly.
So fantastic, Alex Haywood, thank you so much for sparing the time to speak with us at dailyfantasylobby.com. Best of luck in the upcoming season. I know you've got a hard-earned and well-earned summer break coming up before the Fantasy Premier League games kick in again in August.
I'll be playing the Women's World Cup.
Yeah, you're going to go for the MondoGoal WWC. In fact, speaking of which, I think England ladies are playing right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, sir. It was an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christy. Nice to speak to you.
So there we have it. That was Alex Haywood, the first, I believe, winner of 5 figures in a single event in daily fantasy sports over here in the UK. charming gentleman that he undoubtedly was. We actually ended up speaking for well over an hour. Really, really nice fella. So we're at dailyfantasylobby.com. We are rooting for him in the new season and, of course, in the Women's World Cup DFS events. As always, it's an absolute pleasure shooting these podcasts for you. Let us know what you think. Spread the love on Twitter at SuperLobby and personally at Casey151. That's CASY151. Check out our site, dailyfantasylobby.com. You can use our really, really cool tools, particularly if you're into the US sports, for checking out overlay, for checking out the margins, basically the pro tools to make sure that you're getting the best possible value in your daily fantasy sports pursuits. All right, everyone, thanks a lot for watching. Bye.